All right, welcome back to MetFlex and Chill. This is your host, Rachel Gregory, and I'm here with the awesome Matt and Megha from KetoConnect. What's up, guys?
What's going on? Thanks for having us.
I'm excited you're here. We were talking offline. I mean, I can't believe it's been almost 2 years since we chatted when I was on your podcast, Keto for Normies. That was like when I first started to get into, I think you were probably one of my first like podcasts that I'd been on, or maybe like second or third. So I was like super, super nervous. Um, but I think I actually have heard from a lot of people who've listened to that episode. So I think hopefully it was a good one, and I'm excited to have you here today. So do you guys want to give just a little background, like kind of how Keto Connect came about, maybe just a little bit of your story for our listeners?
Yeah, I guess, well, we met not too long before we started Keto Connect, and this was about 4 years ago now. We were living in Philadelphia, our first time ever living together. We had been doing keto for probably like 5 or 6 months, and this is before keto is as you know it today. It was like, there wasn't a lot of people really doing it. I think there was like Jimmy Moore, Leanne Vogel, does she do keto stuff still?
I'm not sure. But when you say that, like a lot of people were doing the keto diet, but not a lot of like YouTube channels and like food blogs, I would even say. So we kind of came on the scene at a really good time. Like luck was definitely on our side. And I think like Jason Whitrock was the only person out there with the YouTube channel. And I remember
it was
like
pretty limited, yeah.
Yeah. And so for us, it was basically like we were creating recipes all the time. Like we both loved to cook and bake before we met. So coming into that relationship with those skills kind of, it made us just want to experience that even more. So when we started a new diet, it was like, well, we can't have our normal desserts. So let's create more. And the more research we did, the more we realized that there's not as much out there as you would think there would be, like given Pinterest and all the food blogs. So we decided to just start making our own recipes and figured, why not share them? It was Matt's idea actually to start a food blog. And I was like, maybe this will be like a fun side thing, but I never expected it to take off the way it did. Because I was actually studying for the bar exam at the time to become an attorney.
Humble brag.
But I failed the bar. So I pulled the brag back. And so to go alongside the food blog, Matt was like, let's start a YouTube channel.
Yes.
And he bought a $700 camera, which at the time was very, very expensive. And so we were like, we got to make this worth it. So we just started filming video after video, and it took off.
Yeah. From the start, I always have like a world domination mindset. Like I start playing like Fortnite, and I'm like, how long till I'm the best in the world at Fortnite? And come to find out, you can't be the best in the world if you're over like 16. It's impossible.
Yeah, for video games.
Yeah. So I started a bunch of different things. Like I thought I would be a professional poker player, professional sports bettor, all this type of stuff. So then I was just like doing some reading and like dedicating myself. And I was like, maybe the thing is I could be all these things, but I just switched too soon. Like, before you really start getting like the exponential returns, you get bored and you're like, okay, I get this. It's not really going to take me anywhere. So when we started Keto Connect, I was like, we're sticking with this until it works. It worked pretty fast though. So like, who knows if we really would have stuck with it. But yeah, at the time we were like making recipes in our kitchen that you couldn't even find online, right? Because there wasn't like a lot of this really. Nowadays, like anything you make in your kitchen is pretty much online as far as keto desserts and stuff go. But like, yeah, back in the day, 4 years ago, I guess it's not that long, we were like actually making original type recipes and sharing them. It's different now. You like look on other food blogs, get ideas, because a lot of people do it. But yeah.
Yeah. And then just from that grew the podcast, and here we are talking to you.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, you guys are the OGs, and this probably sounds super stalkerish, but like I have watched a ton of your videos like over the years because I got into keto back around like, I guess 2014 or 2015 when I did my study, which we talked about on your podcast. But like, I don't know why this popped in my head, but like, I feel like I've evolved with you guys because I've watched you like start. This sounds so weird and stalkerish, but like you guys have gone through like different apartments and into houses and stuff. I don't know, like I was just there. Like I remember watching your videos from your first apartment, and then you were in your second apartment, and then now you're in your house. And that sounds really stalkerish, and I don't know why I'm saying this, but it just
I love it. No, I'm glad.
But you guys, like, I mean, your videos are amazing, and it's just so fun to watch. It's like literally watching TV, and it's like entertaining, and you're also learning things at the same time. So yeah, super thankful for you guys putting all that out, and putting all that information for people who are just getting into this, or even for me who was in it for a while and still always like trying to learn more. So that's super awesome. But I do have a question for you guys, kind of on this note. So since you have, what are we in 2020 now, which is like, who even knows what 2020 is anymore? Because that's a whole other topic. But so is there anything that you can specifically kind of pinpoint maybe each of you, that maybe like a specific lesson or takeaway that you've learned yourself from when you first started like keto, low carb, to where you are now, with that kind of like 6 years, I guess it's been? Or more?
I think just the slow and gradual perspective shift, because like most people when they're first starting keto, they're they were raised in this society of like well-balanced meals. A lot of the meals you eat and like snacks, it's all predicated on convenience. Like most of what we eat is convenience. So the idea of like what did our ancestors eat, which this is like everyone talks about this now, so it's people like roll their eyes when you say it, but like our ancestors probably didn't like put together this salad with like different colored fruits and vegetables and like a nice vinaigrette. Like this is new. We've been doing this for a couple hundred years at most. So just starting to frame things differently, because it's so easy to get caught up in the framing of the modern world where like eat your 12 servings of grains, different things like that become so obvious. So like the most common question every morning when we do our Instagram live thing is like, how do you feel about all this fat clogging your arteries? Just like basic things like that. So that would be my major perspective change. Just like totally shifting the paradigm of what's normal, because what's normal now isn't what's really normal. And that's the main thing for me, I guess.
Yeah. And then mine is a little more superficial, and it's been like a really recent discovery, is that the whole, if it fits your macros type of approach to like flexible dieting, like I can eat my Pop-Tarts and my Gushers too, that doesn't work for the majority of people. And I've always wanted to be the kind of person that worked for, because I want to eat, cereal, and I want to eat all these delicious things, but that just throws like my mind and my body out of whack. So coming to terms with the fact that nutrient density actually matters is a big realization for me, and has helped me like really conquer my eating issues and my unhealthy relationship with food. So I'm here today, and I say flexible dieting is a dream. I really feel like it is. I don't even think it would work for someone like Matt, who is an athlete, who probably has more control and discipline than I do. But I mean, even you, Rachel, do you think it would work for you, because you're an athlete?
Yeah, so I guess, I mean, that's another kind of thing I want to talk about. Obviously, this podcast is called MetFlex and Chill, so it's all about like metabolic flexibility, and kind of, for me, it's like that for me is like the end goal, becoming as metabolically flexible as possible. And just over the years of what I've, gone through with keto, like I was really, really strict. I went through periods of like fat phobia and carb phobia and protein phobia and all the phobias. And kind of just working with clients and stuff like that, kind of found that, everybody, is coming from a different place. And I guess with the flexible part of it, when I think of that, I think of more like focusing on not like the Pop-Tarts and things, but like the fruit and the sweet potatoes and the whole food, right? So I guess that's kind of when I think of flexible and becoming metabolically flexible, it's like, yeah, you can, teach your body how to use ketones and fat for fuel, but then also bring in some sweet potatoes now and then, and some fruit, especially like during the summertime when it's in season. And that's kind of a question I had for you guys. Like over the years, have you experimented with any of that, or like kind of, I guess, what's like your opinion on metabolic flexibility?
Yeah. How do you define that?
So I define it as really just teaching your body to be able to use both fuel sources like efficiently, right? So being able to tap into fat and ketones, when it's warranted, when you're kind of just like sitting on your computer working all day long, you don't need to be, burning sugar and that for fuel, versus if you are doing some type of high intensity workouts or whatever that may be, being able to be efficient at tapping in and using glucose and sugar for fuel when you need it, and just kind of going back between those two. So that's really just like the flexibility part of it. Whereas like most Americans are sugar burners and they don't know how to be fat burners. So I guess that's the definition that I would say.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I guess the way I think about it is it's a pie, right? And like an increase in metabolic flexibility, in my mind, maybe I'm wrong, would be a decrease in like fat metabolism, like being a fat burner. And it would also be a decrease in being a sugar burner. Like you said, most Americans are just like purely sugar burners. That's why when you start keto, you feel really bad. And I would say, like, if you just in isolation, we're on an island and you say, who's the healthier person? It's probably the person that's more metabolically flexible, as opposed to the person who's been doing keto for like 8 years, never really eating carbs. So for some period, maybe for like a year, I did keto, like pretty low protein, like emphasizing the moderate protein, really high fat. And I would test my ketones all the time and they were like 3.0. Or above. And I'd say and everyone probably has different perspectives on this. I would say that's not really for me. Being more flexible is probably better, but everything's like a give and a take. So like if you're 200 pounds overweight, trying to lose weight, metabolic flexibility, that's probably not like step one for you, right? With a lot of people, keto is step one because it gets you off of the carbs and like the blood sugar roller coaster. And then you're back in control. You can make decisions. So what I think for me, since I've done keto for like 3 or 4 years, if I do have some carbs or something sometimes we go out to eat and we get like fancy meals that have carbs. So it's easy to be back in control the next day, but I don't know if it would have been the same if I hadn't been doing keto for a few years now. So I would say, yeah, I'm leaning more towards some degree of metabolic flexibility is better than the person who's been doing keto strictly for like 6 years.
Yeah, and I would agree with that. I think for me, since day one, and I feel like I've made this very clear to Matt, like I think metabolic flexibility is extremely important, at least for me, when it comes to quality of life. I know people asked us today on Instagram Live, they were like, are you going to be keto for the rest of your life? I can with ease say no, because I'm going to get pregnant again. And when I'm pregnant, I am not 100% keto. And for me, labeling it in that way isn't important, right? It's how I feel and it's what I'm actually putting into my body. So I like that you brought up that for you, flexibility means fruits, sweet potatoes, because right now we're actually doing like a whole foods challenge and I've included some plantains, which I absolutely love. I had no idea I love them. Sweet potatoes. I'm doing a lot more berries. And so my carbs may be higher, but if I test my ketones, I'm in ketosis. Granted, maybe I'm fat adapted and it works for me, but I also feel strong about the flexibility aspect. Like I feel really good when I'm eating sweet potatoes. I feel really good when my carbs are super low. And so if we go on a vacation, if we go out to eat, if I want to continue to live my life, then metabolic flexibility has more of a place than being strict keto ever will.
And also I'd say there's certain things like, if your mom wants to lose weight, like you could, if she's drinking like 6 to 8 Cokes a day, right? She starts drinking Diet Cokes. That could be a big step. And I guess since we've had Theo, it's made me think more about like, because I guess we feed him like sweet potatoes, bananas, things like that.
Our 10-month-old son.
Our 10-month-old son, yeah. So it makes me think more just about like what should we be eating. And I wouldn't feed him erythritol, right?
No.
So like erythritol is probably a food that's like if you're trying to lose weight and stick to keto and become fat adapted, it's good. But once you've achieved that, then if you're like weighing out like, 20 grams of erythritol versus a banana, which one's really doing more for you? Obviously the banana, but you got to think of it holistically too. Like most food decisions aren't just in isolation, like banana or erythritol. It's like a holistic thing. So for some people, erythritol, while it's not healthier than a banana, it could be healthier on the whole, depending on your goals. And there's just like, I guess along your journey, like it shifts from being like more about health versus just getting back in control a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I love that. I love that. I think that's something like that I realized too, and a lot of the people who are kind of coming to me for help, there are a lot of women who had gone keto for a while, and then and this is something that I went through, like hit this point where it was like they stopped seeing results. They started having maybe some hormonal issues or other issues with carb phobia and just like literally being scared to eat a banana or even like berries, like just scared to eat any type of fruit. And I went through that too. And that's kind of what kind of shifted my mindset. Like, okay, I've been keto for a while. I'm fat adapted. My body knows how to use fat as fuel. So I can incorporate, fruits and sweet potatoes. And even, with some people, like I always use this example, but like going to a wedding and having a piece of cake, once in a while and not, feeling like you've completely, ruined your life, right? Yeah. Like that's kind of having the ability to do that and live like in the real world, like you said. I think that's super important. That's really like kind of my mission with metabolic flexibility and with this podcast is to just kind of preach that and learn more about that and educate people on that. So I really like your guys' take. But I do want to ask you about with your son. So I know this is something that I don't have kids, but I've, looked into a lot, and I get questions from moms who are pregnant as well. They're like, is it safe to be keto? Like, should I be keto? Megha, do you have any, perspective or obviously experience with that you want to share?
Yeah, so I will say I'm not a doctor. So whenever someone asks, is it safe to be keto? Like for me, yes, it was. But again, my emphasis was never on being in a state of ketosis. I tested here and there just out of curiosity. And even with higher carbs, I found that I was in a state of ketosis. So that was that. But I feel like Lily Nichols, so she wrote a book called Real Food for Pregnancy. And that was like the first thing I read and I looked to when it came to how I should fix my diet. So like what nutrients I need, where my nutrients need to be increased, and less a focus on like keto and low carb and more just like making sure I'm getting the foods that I need to grow myself and grow a healthy baby. So at the end of the day, yeah, it was safe for me when I was doing my keto days. Like the first trimester, I would say was really difficult because you have your carb cravings. Most women do. And it's like a physiological need. It's not even just like a mental thing. Cause like men were commenting, they were like, oh, just suck it up. You don't need the carbs. And I was like, you don't get it. Like back off your high horse. But at the first trimester, definitely I incorporated carbs. I did popcorn. That was the one thing I craved. We were doing a lot more vegetables, like starchier vegetables. We were doing a lot of carrots. I was doing potatoes. What else were we doing? We were doing like all the squashes. You got us on the kombucha squash, Rachel. And just like dousing it in fat. And so like I was doing a lot of high fat, but also high carb. And I was just doing what felt good. But I always tell women, don't put emphasis on like the diet. Don't like label it. Just eat good whole foods, and make sure you're hitting the nutrients that you need, and you will have a healthy baby.
Yeah. Matt, do you have anything to add? I saw you kind of peeking in there.
No.
Yeah, he weighed in a lot though, didn't you?
Yeah. I mean, you have the final say, obviously, at the end of the day. But yeah, we like talked about stuff a lot.
I think a healthy pregnancy diet for any woman could be a healthy diet for any person across the board, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, no one asks, like, is my McDonald's diet safe? Safe is just such an alarming word to where, like McDonald's, is that safe for a baby? I don't know. I don't understand why. I guess the fact that there's no carbs in the diet would somehow, because it's really about nutrients, vitamins, minerals. But I think, like, the alarm might go off in the doctor's office when you say you're doing a keto diet, because they're thinking weight loss. That's what runs through their head. So like, you shouldn't be losing weight when you're trying to have a baby. You should be gaining weight. So it's how you frame it because I guess you should be telling the doctor, but yeah, I mean, you got to take matters into your own hands. One thing we referenced was the Weston A price pregnancy diet. There's just a one page list of like, pregnant mothers have these foods every single day, basically. That's a good reference. And there's like a Sally Norton book of child and baby care. Yeah, that's a really good one too.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and I think also, I mean, like when I think about it, trying to think about it logically, like I feel like a lot of women do suffer from gestational diabetes or, the risk of getting that. So in my head, it's like, I mean, keto seems like it could be not like maybe not strict keto, but lower carb seems like it's probably the optimal kind of place to be when you're getting pregnant or you're pregnant, because then you don't have that risk, hopefully, of developing gestational diabetes.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I feel like I don't know, when I was pregnant, I definitely had a different perspective because there was a baby inside of me. And I was like, how am I supposed to be okay with eating like a donut every single morning because my cravings say so, or like, or use it as a free pass? I feel like I was most strict when I was pregnant because I knew it wasn't about me anymore. It was about the baby that I'm going to bring into this world. So yeah, I think just changing your perspective on like, how do I get over my cravings, and changing that to like, what should I put in my body to actually grow a big, strong baby?
Yeah, for sure. Nutrient density. Yeah.
Exactly.
So I guess along this line, I'm just curious in terms of like what you, because I know, again, I don't know that much about, raising babies. But in terms of like, developing their palate to crave more, rather than sweets, rather than starting off with like, fruits and things like that as baby food, but moving more towards like the savory types of food. Is that something that you guys looked into at all, or like yeah.
Well, yeah, I was reading and like watched some videos. It seems like it is a big problem. Like babies they go to the sweet stuff, but that's not what our baby does at all. Maybe it's because of like the order we introduce the foods and stuff. But like if he has a delicious like cinnamon apple, like sugary type of a thing, he won't prefer that. He'll prefer like steak. Steak is like his favorite thing probably.
Oh,
and
wow.
what else is his favorite?
Yeah, so I was on Instagram talking about this in a story, and a lot of moms responded, and they said that they had a similar experience. So all the foods we introduced to him first, like we didn't introduce fruits or anything sweet until like a month into him eating solid. So he had eaten raw egg yolks, he didn't eaten liver pate we made, steak. So really just like protein and fats and nothing really carby. And now he only takes to like the meat first. And a lot of moms were saying like the same thing with their kids. And when they started their kids with like maybe fruits or the rice cereal or the oats that,
I think it's the rice cereal that probably does it.
Yeah, that the doctors prescribe to start at like 4 months, which is crazy to me. Their kids won't want to eat any meat. They'll always want to eat the fruits first. So now I think I'd be interested maybe with our second child. I actually don't want to do it, but it'd be interesting to see with our second child if we introduced like fruit first and meat afterwards, if like he or she would take to the fruit before the meat. Because like Theo, our son, he won't even let us put anything in his mouth that's not meat if he knows there's meat available, which is crazy to me. Yeah. So your palate, like it's a blank slate. So whatever you put on it first, they are going to take to, like a fish to water. So I urge any parent out there to start with something that they want their kid to continue to eat as they grow.
Yeah, and there's some book, Super Nutrition for Babies.
Yeah, and that one's a good reference for recipes and just for like when to start certain foods. Yeah.
Gotcha. Matt, so have you, sorry, I was just going to say, because I was thinking about Matt, I know you had like this book, what's it called? Challenge, yes, there you go. How is that going?
It's going good. I've deviated from the list. I made a list at the start of the year, but like my interests have changed a little bit, so I thought it was okay to change up the list. But yeah.
So you're reading 52 books.
52 books in the year, which it's like 50 or 60 pages a day, basically. I'm a little behind now. I probably won't get to 52. I'll get to like mid-40s. But it's good, and it's fun. The best way to do it probably is, like the guy says that I follow, Book of the Titans is the podcast that I got this from, is you set out the list at the start of the year and then you randomize it. So like you come up with everything you want to cover, like if there's a particular part of history you want to learn about, something like that. And then you randomize it so that if you are like stuck on a book you're not that into, when you get through it, you're on to the next one. And with anything, what I usually do when it's something new, like I never read really. I don't read that much. I read a little bit, but this year I wanted to increase it. So I just started doing it first thing in the morning to form the habit. So I think with anything, you have a lot of willpower in the morning. And if it's like a totally foreign thing to you, if you just start doing it first thing in the morning, and then once you master and you kind of conquered the habit for like 60, 90 days or whatever, then you can move it to another time of day. But yeah, it's been going good.
Yeah, I love that. That's actually exactly what I did, because I grew up hating reading. and I knew I wanted to incorporate it. So I started like in my morning routine, actually, because I have my own coach who holds me like that whole accountability factor, and he like held me accountable to doing it every single morning. And so that's what built that habit. But exactly what you said, like doing it first thing in the morning, if I didn't do it then it wouldn't happen. So now I look forward to doing it. And the reason I brought that up is because we were talking about pregnancy, and I was just curious if you guys read the book Deep Nutrition, because I have it right here by Catherine Shanahan. Have you guys read that
People
one?
have just recently started recommending that to us. No, is it
Yeah,
good?
so it's taken me a while because she is, I mean, like you got to focus on it. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
But the first half of the book is all about nutrition for pregnancy, and especially diving into your second pregnancy. So Megha, you might want to check that out because she talks all about like how you have to prime your body and give it time, and all dives into all that. So I think you would like that one. But yeah, that's just what got me thinking about the book thing, and mine's all over the place today. But yeah, check that out for sure. So yeah, I guess I wanted to also kind of dive into, obviously you guys have your YouTube channel, and like I said, I've been stalking you for years. So I've seen like kind of all the experiments that you guys have done over the years. Is there any, like, do you guys each want to maybe pick one experiment that you've done, over the years, and anything that you, maybe like your favorite one or one that you kind of learned the most from, and your kind of top takeaways, if you want to share?
What do you got?
Sure. The first experiment, well, the sugar one comes to mind, or the sweetener one we did, but we always talk about that. And so I guess the one for me, the biggest one was we did a 4-day fast, probably like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And that was the only long fast I've ever done, because Matt did one recently for 3 days, but I was pregnant. So, of course I wasn't going to do that at the time. But I think my biggest takeaway from that, diving into it, I went into it with a very negative mindset, and I do with most experiments, because I'm always just like, we have to eat ice cream every single morning and it's going to throw my day off, or, just something that like, I don't get excited about it. And I feel like we should embrace things more. So at the time of doing the fast, I went in, I was like, I don't even think I'm going to make it. We wanted to do 5 days, and I was like, I'm going to cut it off at 4 days. Like I already had told myself, and we ended up doing that, unfortunately. But I think my big takeaway from that was like that I shouldn't, because I forced myself to do it. I was not in a place to be doing it. I didn't have a healthy relationship with food. I was doing it for the YouTube channel, and I was doing it because Matt wanted to do it, and he's extreme, so I just jump on board. But I don't think I was in a place to do it mentally. So I think moving forward, when it comes to experiments, I feel like, one, I need to embrace them more. And two, I just need to like be ready to do certain things, because I think a lot of people go into fasts in an unhealthy manner. They're like, oh, I cheated, now I have to fast for 2 days. Or if I fast for the next 2 days, then I can have my cheat meal. It's like a reward punishment type of system. And I felt like that for sure. And so I think when it comes to fasting, you shouldn't look at it as like a reward or punishment. It's kind of like a break for your body, and it's very natural, because ancestrally, Matt always talks about ancestral times. We did fast. We fasted a lot, right? We had feast and famine type of situations. So I guess I didn't really come full circle there, but my biggest takeaway for me would be like, not to push yourself and force a fast. Like if you want to fast, go ahead and do it. But like, if you find a natural break, just take the break. You don't have to finish it out super strong and like, then end up feeling shitty in the long run, or like letting it get to you and overeating later on.
Yeah. Good one. So we do tons of experiments that you guys never see, because I give up on them like halfway through. That's a big thing that happens. But I guess the best one, well, I'm doing one recently, I'm still like midway through it, is me and one of my friends is doing it with me. 8 different supplements and like tracking our sleep. But the thing is, there's so many like variables with that. So it's going to like help me figure out what helps me sleep. So I'm tracking with the Oura Ring, and it's 8 different supplements, 4 times each, and just basically seeing like which ones gives you better sleep quality.
What's been your big takeaway?
My big takeaway, I think, is that
you shouldn't depend on supplements to sleep, maybe.
Well, of course that. I don't think there is a big takeaway. I think it's just the limitations of like we put so much emphasis on numbers. Like the Oura Ring gives me like a readiness score, and I'm just like, this is probably nonsense. That's my major takeaway. And like even like the ketone meters, sometimes we'll test and we'll do like 3 different ketone meters. There'll be like a 1 point off between the 3 of them, like 1 full point, 1.0. And it's just like we put so much emphasis. I think as humans, we just like see numbers and we're like, that's the truth. And we have to see like higher numbers or lower numbers on the scale or whatever. But with the sleep test, I guess the one supplement that surprised me the most is glycine. It seems like it's kind of helping sleep quality. That's probably it. But overall, yeah, you don't really need supplements to sleep. We think we need supplements for everything, I guess.
Are there any like supplements that you do take on a regular basis that you would say maybe, I mean, this is something that I actually dove into in a solo episode like 2 weeks ago, just like kind of overall supplements that maybe kind of your everyday person does need just because of the reduction in nutrients in our soil and our food supply nowadays and things like that. Do you take anything on a regular basis?
Yeah, I take, in the summer I don't take it, but I take vitamin D3K 2 drops. But this is something I've evolved to do. So I make like a big effort every day to get sun exposure. Most people don't do that, so you could probably still take it in the summer. And then magnesium, I'll take occasionally because my diet's pretty low in magnesium. And I'll just do like some electrolyte supplements sporadically. Like we take sport salts. It's one that you can buy on Amazon. It's a pill. Sometimes I'll just put salt in my water. And those are like the main ones. I'll take just some other stuff like randomly, more like nootropic style supplements.
Like L-theanine.
Yeah, like I'll take L-theanine to focus if I really want to get a lot of work done on a day. I'll do like caffeine L-theanine combo. That works for me. But yeah, that's pretty minimal.
Yeah, and then the only thing I take regularly is I take digestive enzymes. I don't tolerate protein really well, and so I found that taking betaine HCl, helps me with that, and I feel really good when I take those. So that's about it. Yeah.
Cool. And I guess this kind of talking about supplements got me thinking, what is your guys' opinion on exogenous ketones?
So
$1,000,000 question.
Yeah, just to jump in real quick, I always think of Vegas when we talk about ketones because that's when I feel like I've used it the most. Like when you're drinking a full day, you wake up and you're like, I need to rally and drink again all day. Taking ketones really comes in handy because it helps with like a hangover. It's all the electrolytes and it gets you a little amped up. And so that's what I think of.
Yeah, no, that's the major use case in my mind. But I think you have to have like some sort of really positive or negative reaction about it. Obviously, like the prove it, MLM people, they're the worst. We can all agree on that. But the packaging, like marketing wise, it's very smart because I think the prove it ones, they put like tons of caffeine, it's tons of electrolytes,
and like fun flavors. Like strawberry passion fruit, crush the day.
Yeah, and then there's like the 60-hour reboot Instagram people, and I can see why a ton of people buy them. But overall, it's like really, it's expensive. So it's like $3 to $6 per serving. So like, are you getting your money's worth? No, not at all. You're better off just actually buying food. But is it
electrolytes?
And electrolytes, yeah. But is it useless? I wouldn't say it's useless. Like I honestly, the only time I ever really use it is like a Pedialyte type of drink. Like the day after in Vegas, like if you go to CVS in Las Vegas, it's just they only sell Pedialyte basically.
Yeah.
So that's how I mostly use them.
Or if we're like feeling sick and like we have a work day ahead.
Maybe it could be useful for someone just starting too. I don't know enough, but maybe. I wouldn't say it's absolutely doesn't work for that scenario.
But yeah, just find ones that are more reasonably priced because there are really expensive ones. And then there's ones I think you could afford more.
Yeah, but it also enables, I guess, the mindset. So I would say even if it does work, you probably shouldn't take it when you're first starting keto because it just gets you in this mindset of like, oh, this supplement is what's going to do it for me.
Yeah.
When really nothing's going to do it for you. You have to do it for yourself. There's like some underlying thing you got to figure out.
I love that. Great. That was a mic drop.
Yeah.
So now I'm just thinking of other supplement questions, but I know that I went through a period of like MCT oil, MCT powder. I'm sure you guys did too. Do you guys still use MCTs?
Yeah. So there's two distinct styles of day for me. The days when I wake up and I'm like, today I'm just going to crush it. I'm not going to even, like leave the basement, which is where my office is, until 8 p.m. And on those days, sometimes for breakfast, I'll do like a pretty substantial bulletproof coffee with MCT oil. But MCT oil is more of like a functional type of a thing. If that, I don't even know. Like as time has gone on, I've realized like MCT oil probably isn't even that useful. Like why have it when you could have something that actually has nutrients in it? So I'll do like egg yolks in my coffee a lot of the time, and I'll do like coconut milk, different things like that. But yeah, I guess Megha probably uses the MCT powder mostly for the flavors, right?
Yeah, and I haven't used them in several, like in the past couple months, because we're not doing sweeteners right now, and so yeah, they're expensive too. Like supplements are just expensive and unnecessary. You can buy like a big bulk jar of coconut oil and get something that's nutritious and has MCTs in it and like tastier.
Maybe though the effectiveness is there's like a lot of diminishing returns over time, because like I remember back, and maybe it's more of a placebo, but like when I first started doing bulletproof coffee, this is pre-keto. This is like when I was 22 eating, you know, normal standard American diet. But I was like, oh, bulletproof coffee is, you know, a game changer. I do feel like maybe it had more of an effect back then, but it's hard to say for sure. But maybe like when you're fat adapted and you've been doing keto for so long, it's probably like negligible benefits.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah,
What do you think?
Yeah, so I was kind of the same way. Now I just use it like the powder because I like the flavor, so I'll use that, like the MCT powder in my coffee in the morning, or I'll do have you guys tried the super coffee creamer?
No.
Yeah, I think it's like a tube you squeeze out.
No, it's like the
creamer.
brand is called Super Coffee, and they
No, I've never
have
tried that.
creamers and like espressos. They're in pretty much like I'm on the West Coast, but they're in like all the stores here. But
Oh, we got to look for those.
Yeah.
yeah, they're good. I'm actually having the founder on after I record with you guys. Jimmy DeSico, he's one of the brothers. They were on Shark Tank and they did this whole thing, but it's a cool story. But yeah, that's what the creamer that I'm using now, and it has MCT oil in it, but it also has like a little bit of whey protein, and it just tastes really good. So I put that in my coffee just because I like the flavor. And I do I feel like you said, like back in the day, like I did notice maybe more of like that mental boost when I had it, and it kind of got me through, because I don't like black coffee, and when I'm trying to maybe intermittent fast and things like that, like it just helps. So yeah, that's kind of my take on it.
It's a mental boost or a diarrhea boost?
Well, I mean, the MCT oil itself is probably more. I don't do like straight MCT oil. When I did that, that was definitely not a good
Yeah, I
take.
feel so bad. I would love to have some sort of like sample size of like bulletproof coffee people interviewed, because when you search for bulletproof coffee, you get taken to Dave Asprey's website, obviously, and his default recipe is 2 tablespoons of MCT oil.
Oh my God.
And there's tons of people, I assume, that have done that just like first time, and they're like, oh, what's going on?
Oh my God, that's just like, yeah, no, that's too much. Okay, last question, not last question, but last kind of topic, fasting. So do you guys like implement that on a regular basis, intermittent fasting? I mean, not like the long-term fast like we were talking about, but just intermittent fasting at all?
Yeah, I do it occasionally, but I'm less strict about it. Like it's not a rule that I live by, but I've been doing it for a really long time. Like before I was even doing keto, I was doing intermittent fasting. I did like Leangains Protocol. I don't know if you ever heard of that. Which I don't think that's good. That's really slippery slope, because so the Leangains Protocol, what it is intermittent fasting. You work out at the end of the 18-hour or 16-hour fast, and then you have your post-workout meal, and you do the workout 3 days a week, and you have your like the super big carb meal 3 days a week right after those workouts, and then the off days is like basically keto, just like really low carb, and you just like live for the post-workout meals, and you're like planning it when you're like at the gym. You're like, oh, I'm gonna have this. You're adding it all up in MyFitnessPal. So that's not good, not a good diet at all. But for intermittent fasting, I do it. I think it works good, especially I think if you do keto first, and it's at least something worth trying, because so many people, they think like breakfast is the most important meal of the day, 3 meals a day, snacks, when they're really probably not that hungry. And doing intermittent fasting could just be an easy way to restrict calories, or even if you're not trying to restrict, just like eat a normal amount of calories for your body without having to put in that much effort. So I think that's the biggest thing with any kind of meal timing thing. I think with changing up your meal timings, it's the least friction way of potentially like aligning your diet with your goals without it feeling like a constant struggle. Because if you're going to do like your same meal timing, but you're just going to cut calories, that's hard. And most people can't do that. If you really change things up, you try like 1 meal a day, try 2 meals a day, 2 meals with like a bulletproof coffee in the morning, just a bunch of different configurations, you'll probably find something that makes it easier for you.
Yeah. And so I've kind of done all the configurations and found that I don't intermittent fast, and it's not something that like I enjoy doing or comes that easy for me. And if I did want to do it, I probably could right now because I'm not nursing as much. And when I was pregnant, it was really tough. But if I would not do it one day, then I would feel bad. I would like, you know, it would be like a negative thing. I'd be like, oh, damn it, I didn't do it today. And so instead, I'm just like, I don't want these like parameters that like I could potentially fail for the day and then I feel bad about it. And that's just how my mind works. So I'm pretty consistent with my routine, and I put collagen and canned coconut milk in my coffee every single morning. So I break my fast and then I stop eating. I think we stop eating like 7, and there's no real like fasted window in there, and I'm fine with it. I like where I've landed personally.
Yeah, I agree with that too. And that's like another thing, kind of coming back to the whole metabolic flexibility side of things. It's like not, putting yourself in this box to be so restrictive. Because I, went through that too. And so many people do. It's like they start fasting and they're like, okay, more is better. And then when I don't fast, like I think that I should be fasting, I'm just going down this rabbit hole. Whereas you could just, be more flexible, and the days that you wake up and you're not hungry, fast. If you're hungry, eat, and just like allow your body kind of do its thing. And again, obviously this is for people who are not maybe overweight or obese or trying to lose a significant amount of weight, and they need to be, implementing these practices. So on a more strict basis, but okay. Yeah. So, oh yeah, Matt, you can go.
Oh, I was just going to say, I think there's 2 different like perspectives, or I guess there's probably infinite, but to me, there's like people fall into a couple of categories. There's me, for example, who like I need pretty strict parameters. I like my parameters. If there's gray area, I'm going to attack the gray area, expand it, and then, like get into out of bounds. But I can just like reason. You can always reason with yourself, like these excuses. You talk yourself into things. But Megha is definitely more, like you're saying, like a flexible type of person. And I think over time you get to know yourself when you've done it enough times. Like, are you the type of person when you're weighing out your serving of nuts, 28 grams is really 50 grams? Like, is that you? Then you're obviously one type of person. Megha's more like the strict. I'm more like I'll put a little more on the scale. So yeah, like learning about yourself, learning what works for you, because most people doing like podcasts or whatever, giving any kind of advice, it's just what works for them. And it's hard to see that like the opposite thing could work for some people. So like even the if it fits your macros thing, like I can see in a world where you're the type of person who eats to live, which most of us aren't. We live to eat, I would say. I would think over 50% of us. Those people could probably do if it fits your macros. To me, that's like crazy. I could never do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I love that. I love that perspective for sure. Because everybody's different. Everybody's coming from somewhere else, and everybody has their own history. And so, yeah. I mean, that matters, right? So, okay, so I have 2 last questions for you guys. Okay. Mm-hmm. So the first one is there anything, and I guess you guys obviously answered these, whoever wants to go first, but is there anything that you've changed your mind about in the last year, and why?
The last year. Ooh. I guess a year ago today, it was probably I was more into a carnivore diet type of approach. And that's just like the type of person I am. Like the trajectory of our channel sort of goes with the flow of like what people are doing. Like, cause I guess that gets put into just the ether, and then you start seeing so many people are doing it and you're like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. But I would say it's not the way to go. Most people are into it, but back to like the metabolic flexibility type of a thing. And we interviewed a lot of people, a lot of carnivore people. Most people are these days, and they all deny this one simple fact. And to me, this is where it gets to just be like too dogmatic, where I'm like, you guys, something's wrong over there. Because everyone who does a carnivore diet, you experience the heightened sensitivity to foods that you were previously not sensitive to. And so like when you do a carnivore diet for a while, then you eat like an avocado. and you're like, oh, I guess I'm allergic to avocados. The latex allergies are getting me. Just like, you start talking yourself into these weird things. And I'm like, this isn't how food's supposed to be. And we've interviewed so many carnivore people, and they just like act like that doesn't exist, because pretty much everyone who does a carnivore diet, then you eat like a salad, really bad experience. And you just like seem to increase food allergies.
Tolerance.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't even say increase. I would say you're developing new allergies. And that's not a healthy person. A healthy person isn't someone who can only eat the meat of a cow. Yeah. You should be able to thrive in different environments. So that's probably my biggest perspective change.
Yeah, and then I guess mine is, I've talked about nutrient density already, but nutrient density matters so much more than calories. So a year ago today, I was very, very much so pregnant. But right before I got pregnant, I was like I was trying to like gain muscle. So I was just like, I was focusing on my calories and I was tracking very strictly. And come full circle today, like I don't track at all, but I make sure I'm eating nutrient dense foods, and I haven't had any weight issues. I haven't had like I've like lost some weight since starting just like focusing on my nutrient density without wanting to lose weight. And I just find that like I'm satiated if I'm hitting my like nutrient goals, if that makes sense. And it's the calories don't matter. Like the calories go out the window, and it's such a better place for me to be because I'm not obsessed with tracking. I can delete the apps off my phone and I could just focus on like, hey, did I eat eggs today? Did I eat salmon? Did I eat liver? Because if I did, then I feel really good about it.
Yeah, yeah. I love that. I mean, it's all about, real food first for sure, and just like eating to feel good. Okay, I guess the second question kind of ties into we probably went over this a little bit, but if you do have anything else to share. So is there anything that you've personally been implementing like recently, I would say maybe in the last like month or two, that you maybe found benefits from, or anything like that?
No sweeteners for me.
Oh yeah.
So I stopped. I'm a stevia junkie. So I would put like half a bottle of stevia. We'd get like the concentrate too in my morning coffee. And then all my midday and after dinner snacks were just, chock full of stevia or sucralose or erythritol or allulose. And there's just so many different sweeteners out there. And like, for me, it's not like, oh, these are good, these are bad. It's like, all of them increase my cravings. So if I want to feel good, like for the entire day, then I shouldn't start my day off with stevia. And that's been like the biggest thing for me.
Yeah, I've been doing that too, because we're doing this challenge where it's Whole Foods
He's
keto.
Forced to do it. He
She wanted to do it, so I did it too.
How long was the challenge?
We did it for 30 days, and now we're doing it for another 30 days. So we're like 45 days into it now.
Yeah.
But yeah, the reason I wanted to do it with her is just because, like, if you think, I guess I was just running through the foods that I have almost every day and how it's probably not good. Obviously, coffee being a big one. Like, it's weird how like the science is mixed on whether or not having coffee every morning is good for you. Like, it's obviously not good for you, but I like it a lot. So I do have coffee a lot. I just don't need to lie to myself. Like, of course, it's probably a negative for your health having a stimulant every single day, but I can weigh out the pros and cons. It makes me more productive, etc. I can justify it. So, but I was just going through a list of things that I have every day that, I don't want to have every day. Chocolate, coffee, stevia would be the big three, I would say. To where like,
and like chocolate, not like 100%, like,
Well, mainly the chocolate though,
even though what percentage?
Like 85%.
Yeah.
But I'm not worried about the little bit of sugar. I was more concerned about the fact that I just have like 2 or 3 squares of chocolate every single day.
Oh.
Not the most natural thing to be doing. So whenever I have something that is like that, I like to pump the brakes every once in a while. Like, I've quit coffee a few times, and I don't know, like, it's the thing about quitting coffee is there's always the first cup when you start coffee again, which is, if you guys don't know, it's essentially cocaine, the first cup. So that's why I keep coming back to coffee. I think for now I'm doing coffee.
You're what?
I'm on.
Yeah.
I'm on coffee.
But like, when I get pregnant again, do you plan on stopping with me? Because I don't do caffeine when I'm pregnant.
That's another thing. I stopped coffee with her, but then I secretly had it like.
He was lying to me.
No, I stopped for a while. No, but then like 4 or 5 months in, I started again.
Yeah, but like he was like sneaking it, and then I was like, oh, okay, I thought we were doing no coffee.
Yeah. So those are, I guess, yeah.
But yeah, so sweeteners and no
Do you
chocolate.
feel like
Those
your palates have like, because it's been 30 days, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, 45.
And you feel like it's like you don't have the cravings for sweet things, or like, and like, has it, I don't know, have you tried anything like fruit that does, because people say if you take out sweeteners, you take out sweet things, and you have like even a sweet potato or like a fruit that's not even that sweet, it's like freaking candy, right?
Yeah.
Have you tried that at all or no?
That definitely happens. Yeah, you can pick up on sweetness of different things, especially when we go to like our fancy dinners we go to once in a while. You can taste something that like back from your previous life wouldn't have been sweet,
Hmm.
but since your palate has kind of changed, it is really sweet for you now.
Yeah, but in like like what we're
This
talking about right
context.
now, yeah, in this context, canned coconut milk is what I've been using for my creamer because we're also not doing dairy, and
Oh.
it is naturally so sweet, and I think that's what enhances my coffee in the morning. And like carrots are slightly sweeter. Like yeah, everything is just my palate has like gone back to just like enjoying whole foods and not needing like that extra sugar, because we're not even like doing baked goods or anything, and like we run a food blog so we bake a lot, so we're just not eating them, which is very it's good, but it's new for me.
Are you
But
doing no? Oh, sorry.
oh no, you go ahead.
No, I was just saying, are you doing like absolutely no dairy at all?
We're
No.
doing ghee.
Yeah.
Ghee. Okay.
Yeah.
Have you noticed a
We're
difference
following we're following the whole 30
Mhm.
like principles basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I notice a difference with dairy. I'm going to slowly introduce it back because I like it a lot, but I don't know what it is, if it's like the lactose or the casein, which like I'll get like some dandruff like on my eyebrows and stuff when I have a lot of it. So that's something going on. So I guess I'll introduce like butter first and
Okay.
then see what happens. And then cheese, and then probably like I'll try some milk after to see if it's the lactose.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you guys, I remember a period of time you did like a lot of raw milk and you were doing kefir and stuff like that. So you're
Yeah.
not doing
Haven't
that.
been doing that, although my culture is in the freezer right now. It's really big, my kefir culture.
He loves it. He's so proud. It's like his first baby, actually.
Yeah, but I love the dairy, but yeah, I've never really gone too long without it. So I guess we're going without a lot of things now.
Yeah.
It's sad.
Alcohol's been tough.
The main thing I'm happy I've given up though is like the packaged goods. We would have them after dinner all the time. That's really a slippery slope
And
for
one
me
one leads into like 17. You can't have just one packaged good.
because I know how quick I can eat the one,
Yeah.
and then it doesn't make sense to lay down on the couch with just one. So you need like two plus.
Yeah. I'm definitely like someone who slowly eats stuff. Matt'll like one bite stuff. And I'm
I
like,
don't one bite.
why are you wasting that delicious, no, like keto cups?
A 2-bite does.
Okay. That's like 7 bites to me,
Sometimes
at least.
3.
Have you guys read okay, this is I'm going to stop grilling you. This is my last one. Have you read the book The Hungry Brain by Stephen Guyenet? I can never say his last name.
No.
No.
Okay, that's another good one. He talks a lot about like hyperpalatability and how your brain, he just dives into how your brain governs everything, and especially food and cravings and all that. It's a really good one too. So that one and deep nutrition I finished that one like I think a month ago, and I'm working my way through deep nutrition. But those are two good ones if you want to put them on your list.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, what other good nutrition books do you got? What's like your top few?
I mean, deep nutrition is definitely up there, and the Hungry Brain recently. What else? I don't know. I feel like I've read all the keto books out there.
Yeah.
It's like those kind of all just mesh together. But I'm trying to get recently I'm trying to get away from like keto because I went through a period of time just trying to read everything about keto and fasting and all that. And now I'm like, okay, I know that. Now I need to like branch out. So that's why those two books. What else? I'm having a brain fart.
Do you do a keto diet most of the time?
So I'm definitely not like strict keto anymore. I'm more like low carb. Keto is my home base, but I've definitely incorporated, especially with the training that I'm doing now. Like I'm doing more, like actually last time I talked to you, I was doing CrossFit. I haven't done CrossFit in like a year and a half. But I'm doing a lot more like bodybuilding type training and stuff like that, where you actually may not even need carbs, but I do. It just makes me feel better in terms of recovery. I've just like done experiments, especially lately. So I incorporate like sweet potatoes and fruit, and it's more just like focusing on the whole foods. But I would definitely say low carb is like home base. And there's days that I go like through fasting and I feel great. I actually did like a 36-hour fast last month just to see. I went from doing a like really high carb week of like over 200 grams of carbs every single day just to see. And then I did a 36-hour fast like right when I ended that just to see like how quote unquote metabolically flexible I was and how and if that did affect me. And I felt fine. Like I did have regular, 2 p.m. kind of hunger's hitting a little bit, but I was able to get through it and felt fine. So that was kind of like my own recent experiment. But
Awesome.
yeah.
Why'd you quit CrossFit?
Sorry?
Why'd you quit CrossFit?
So I actually injured myself. I injured my back, and so I had to like take a few months off, and then I kind of just rerouted like what I wanted to focus on, and I got more into like physique and trying to change my physique a little bit. I hired my own nutrition coach, and kind of went through my own transformation, which was like I guess a year and a half ago, and I never went back.
How did you find your accountability coach?
I found him through a friend. And he's not in like keto or anything. Like he's not in the keto space. He's like completely outside of it. I was actually looking for someone that was outside of the space and someone who could have like a fresh eyes looking in on like what I was doing and be able to like bounce ideas off of him and stuff like that. I also didn't want to be writing my own programming because I write programming and I nutrition and I coach for other people, and I was trying to do that for myself and it just wasn't happening. Like I just like was burnt out and I didn't want to do I didn't want to do that for myself when I was doing it for other people, and it just wasn't working. So I wanted to like just not have to think about anything. And that's really, it's been amazing. Like I recommend anybody, if you have like a specific goal, to get a coach, just cause it's a game changer. So
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Sweet. All right. Well, thank you for letting me grill you for the last hour. I think this was an awesome conversation. Do you guys have anything like fun or exciting coming up that you want to share?
Not really. We have jointhecurve.com is a membership site that has like 10 plus courses, a meal planner, all that type of stuff for your keto needs. And there's a forums on there, a good community. If you're looking for accountability, you don't want to hire the coach. We got the forums. And just ketoconnect.net. That's where all the recipes are. We got like a couple hundred of them on there now.
Yeah, not much else.
Not much else.
Just raising a baby.
Yeah, that's the big thing, I guess.
Awesome. Yeah, your website, I go to it all the time and get ideas and make your recipes and stuff. And obviously your YouTube channel, which is just KetoConnect.
KetoConnect.
Right?
Yep.
Yep.
Everything's KetoConnect. Yeah.
Instagram, all that stuff. And is it still KetoConnect? It's .net, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, because I remember you guys talking about that like a few times. How Matt
Yeah,
bought
.com, I think some Horizon Organics dairy farm bought it,
Yeah.
and they won't sell it to
jerks.
us.
Yeah.
Jerks. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for coming on. I appreciate your
you.
time. It was great
Thanks.
catching up. And yeah, I will talk to you guys soon.
All right.
See ya.
All right. Bye.
Bye.